As the new year begins, we find ourselves looking back at the 2018 Ironman North American season. Records were broken, battles were fought, dreams were realized. Athletes around the world trained to hear those elusive words, "You are an Ironman." Ironman is one of the toughest sports in the world, and it brings about the champion in anyone willing to try. Over the course of the 2018 season, we encountered thousands of athletes. Ironman does not attract the average, the normal, the mundane. Each and every person who steps up at an Ironman is an inspiration. These athletes are not defined by profession or athletic prowess. They inspire those around them to greatness. They are an integral part of a community that brings about positive change throughout the world. We love our Ironman athletes, and every year are overwhelmed by the amazing stories we hear. We want to take a moment to relive some of the best stories from North America in 2018.
Randy's a whole human, you know. She's not a professional athlete.
Like, I have to train around work too.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, she's not just spending all of her time doing this. Like, that's I hope something we get across. Like, I mean, and you tell me if you want to be just an inspiration because you're blind. But I think it's like, if anything, it's like, look at you balancing this and then the additional logistical challenges.
Walking around as a blind person on a daily basis, you run into a lot of people that are pretty amazed that you got out your front door. I'll get on a bus and everybody's tripping over themselves to give me their seat, and I'm just like, I do triathlon as a hobby. Like, I'm good, I can stand, on this bus, like, it's fine.
My daughter Emily, when she was 4, she was diagnosed with leukemia, and it wasn't going well. Emily, at the age of 5 at that point, she and Terry had written a letter to lottery people.
My dad's birthday is in 2 weeks, but I can't leave my isolation room to get him a present. Maybe if I write a letter, you will pick him for the Ironman.
We lost Emily 5 days later. Because of my first experience there in '97, I feel a little closer to Emily when I'm on the course.
After 20 years of racing, Bob qualified on his own merit and took part again, carrying the memory of his daughter with him the whole way.
Terry and I are there together, and we kind of feel her spirit there, because Emily's, she's the little girl that got me there.
And I'm sitting in my church, almost 2 years ago now, almost exactly 2 years ago, September 18th. And World Vision comes in and he tells me about children dying of not having basic clean water. And I was pissed off, I was in disbelief, shocked, and it ruined my life in the best way I say. Kept seeing these children, kept seeing Julius, my sponsor child, and I'm choosing to do this, right? To bring awareness, to raise funds for it. He has no choice. He wakes up, he has to go down that dangerous path, walk 6 kilometers to water one way, barely eating enough food, and everyone forgets about what's going on, acts like it's not going on. So I have to do it for them.
Moira Horan is an Ironman through and through. She had completed 11 races when she was diagnosed with cancer in 2017.
I'm not happy I had cancer, but there's a part of me that accepts that it happened to me and that it was okay and that it was a part of my life, and I learned a lot from it. So here I am.
In 2018, she came back and showed us all what true strength is. Our athletes are incredibly special, and the work and effort they put into training for an Ironman is truly inspiring. But athletes aren't the only thing that make Ironman great. To see true greatness, look no further than the volunteers. Our volunteers dedicate their time and talents to one thing: helping you get across the line. They show up early, they shout and cheer, they pour out their hearts to get every athlete the support they need to make it to the finish line. Some of the volunteers are Ironman athletes themselves, giving back to the sport they love. Some are friends and family, and some come back year after year because they love being part of something so special. One of those volunteers is Scott Bush. Scott has been a volunteer at Ironman Boulder every year, but in 2017, he was hit by a car while biking home from work.
In my feeling of it, it was just a bad accident. I do forgive him. It was just an accident. It's the same thing could happen to any of us. I'm here today because I was wearing a helmet.
He suffered severe brain injuries along with countless broken bones, but his will triumphed. And in 2018, Scott was right back at the race that he loved, helping make sure that every athlete had the best day possible. Yin Adams is the daughter of 2 Vietnamese immigrants. What she learned from her parents was that you never give up and you always work hard for the things you want. She showed just what she was made of by completing Ironman Wisconsin.
I was definitely getting overwhelmed about the whole magnitude of it. It's like, holy cow. But they sacrifice so much. I can overcome anything because of them.
If you step to the line at an Ironman, you should be proud of yourself. It is not an easy task, and it can be very intimidating. There are many people who start the race, but for one reason or another, are unable to finish. If that ever happens to you, I want you to remember Bryan AbuJohn.
You can do anything, and I've been so close that it's just not possible now for anything but a finish. I'm 0 for 5, but it's the closest 0 for 5 you'll ever want to see, and now it's a chance at redemption.
On the 6th attempt, he passed out on the bike and was unable to continue. But did he give up? Not a chance. He came back at Mont Tremblant and finished what he started years before. He became an Ironman. Meet Diana Wolf. She is not just racing for herself, but for a cause. A firefighter who has suffered from PTSD herself, she has chosen to dedicate her life and her racing to giving back to her brothers and sisters suffering from PTSD. Diana stepped to the line at Ironman Boulder and made it to the run. She put on her turnout gear and set out for 26.2 grueling miles in the heat and elevation. She struggled all day, refusing to give up. And while she made it to the finish line, she didn't make it in time. She made 140.6 miles in just over 19 hours. Refusing to give up, she tried again at Ironman Louisville and found her way to the finish line, making her the first woman to ever complete an Ironman in turnout gear. Bill Halstead lost his son Trip at 7 years old. When Trip was 2, he was struck in the head by a tree branch, and he spent the next 5 years bravely fighting back. Bill continues racing to bring awareness and raise funds for the ESP Miracle League in Trip's memory.
But he would run up to anybody and fist bump you, and he would go boom, like that. And we're in the hospital, and it was probably only a day or two in, and somebody just said, "Team Boom," and it stuck. And it's become a rallying call. If you see me out on the course and you want to give me a fist bump, I'll run over and give you a fist bump or a hug, whatever you want.
Finally, at Ironman Arizona, we met Jeff Dahl.
Cancer's taken quite a bit away from my wife and me this summer, and I could never imagine doing it myself.
Jeff was given 6 months to live, but refused to give up. Just after the 6-month mark, Jeff stepped up to the start line.
There's a good chance I might not finish this.
Not only did Jeff make it onto the bike, he made it to the run. After a long day, Jeff proved that anything is possible.
It's Ironman, everybody's amazing. And everybody's got their own story to tell. That's what's great about it. I have no regrets. I want no pity from anybody. This is life.
These are just some of the stories that stood out in 2018. As you prepare for the 2019 season, never forget that you are an inspiration to those around you, and your dedication to the impossible will encourage more people than you will ever know. You are the only one that gets to determine how your story unfolds. No matter what you face, no matter how dark it may get out there, always remember that your will is bigger than the challenge in front of you. You will face the darkness head on, and you will power through. Your story will be lifted among the greats, and you will be an Iron Man.